Dean, thanks for joining us. Under 18s have had a couple of games since we last spoke. What have they been up to lately?
What they've been up to lately is playing some nice football here and there, not scoring enough goals, conceding too many and losing games, unfortunately. It's been a rocky spell for the team, and it's been coming really, because we've been in games for little moments, and then there are games that just get away from us. And we've often been talking to the boys before games, after games and during games about their game management and recognising different moments in the game, when to be aggressive, the risk versus reward element of the game, and starting now as they get older to understand the game. And it's not just about playing now, this is about the PDP phase being learning to win and understanding that opposition strengths and weaknesses, different elements of the game, moments of the game that can change things. And the games that we've lost recently have been perfect examples of that. We haven't deserved to lose the games, but we've ended up losing because we've given opportunities to opposition teams that they don't deserve, but then they've taken them. And it's been mistakes in the final third, in our final third, to give the ball to other teams that they take, and then when they give us the same opportunities in their back third, we don't take them, and we haven't been clinical enough in front of goal. And we've been talking to the boys a lot about this, and ultimately they need to get better. And we've done a lot of work on the defensive side of things, and we've given them lots and lots of information, and these are new things that they're learning throughout the thirds of the pitch, things that they've probably never been taught before, and if they have been taught, we've just gone into more depth than they've ever gone into. So actually it's a slow burning process, and we're hoping that over time it will improve, but they need to improve now from a results perspective and understand that under 18s football is very close to being a professional, at the professional level, at the under 23 level, and results matter. And it's now about 3 points. It's not all about development. It still is an element of development, but now it's that mentality on a Saturday that I'm out there, I'm going to be the best player, I'm going to beat the person that's trying to beat me, and I'm going to stop them doing their job so that we can do ours and ultimately get 3 points. And right now we need to get better at that.
You were beaten by Cambridge at the weekend, I understand. What went wrong there? What was the kind of thoughts after that one?
The Cambridge and Stevenage games, the last two, were very similar. First 25-30 minutes, very even, neither team really taking control. Stevenage, we had a couple of half chances, a couple of opportunities that we created ourselves, one from a couple of set pieces, one from a good corner routine, and we didn't take them, and then it was just individual areas in key areas of the pitch. Against Cambridge, it was a free kick that we gave away, second phase of a set piece in a wide area, and then in Stevenage we were trying to play out of a difficult area, pick the wrong pass. So it's really just a decision-making element of it, which is the part of the game that separates the really good player from the player that's perhaps not quite at the level. And that's just experience. That'll be the boys going into those situations, and it's just a learning process. And over time, by keep exposing them to those situations and keep putting them in those situations, hopefully they will learn from them and stop making those mistakes. But in the final third, we need to be playing quicker. Our ball speed needs to improve. We need to be more dynamic with our movement. Our style of football is not easy to complete because it's multiple players combining to release within or behind the opposition back four. So it's actually a difficult style of play to execute. So everybody needs to be on their game. If one person's not quite there, the impact on 2, 3 or 4 means that we can't play the style that we want to play. So from that point of view, we demand more of the players. We could go point to point, but ultimately we believe that this way is going to make them a better player over time. So sometimes if 1 or 2 aren't playing, it affects the rest, and that's what's been happening in the last few games. And the boys have been given the messages in the classroom, in the analysis on the grass, that detail, levels, quality has to improve across the board, otherwise the results won't come.
On a brighter note, on Wednesday you beat Reading. Talk us through that one. What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it was a friendly game at Hogwood. They invited us over. It was a mixed game. They had some younger players. We had a mixture of players that needed some minutes and some more established players that we actually tried in a couple of different positions, and a few players that have been doing well for the youth team, but we wanted to keep them pushing on with a midweek fixture. Dan Chima grabbed a couple of goals. Greg Adina grabbed a goal. Dan played in the 10. He's been playing out wide for the last year and a half, but we tried him in the 10 to get him a little bit more involved in some combination, playing more touches on the football, and it was a positive performance from him. And the group did okay, and it's always a difficult place to go at Reading. Lovely pitches, lovely facility, great club, always produce good players. So it was a positive result from that perspective to get their mindset into a winning frame of mind coming into Southend on Saturday here at the Hive.
And on the subject of positives, he seems to come up a lot, but Efron's been in the first team now, made his first league start last weekend. Without kind of building him up too much, is he one that you can maybe point to the other boys and say, look, this is what's possible with the right application and work?
Yeah, he's a great example because he's been in since he was 11 years old. And you look at clubs around the country and it's not easy to get a kid in all the way through. Sometimes you pick them up at 16 when they get released from a Cat 1, they drop down, or they go from a Cat 2 to a Cat 1 for a little bit of money, or maybe into a scholarship. And it's really refreshing to see players come all the way through, and we had it last year with Nana coming through, and Efron's done it this year, and other players have been in and around it. Joe Payne being involved in and around the squad, and the other 23 boys. But it's a good example to the younger players because Efron is a very young second year, end of August birthday. He's only just turned 17 and 3 months. And it, you know, he lives in southeast London. He's had a long hour-and-a-half journey to and from the training ground for the last 7 years. It's been a long journey for him, getting from where he was when he left Chelsea to come here, all the way through scholarship, broke his collarbone last season, had a long period out. But when he came back in, there was a real mentality from him that he was going to do as much as he could to get himself back on the grass. Really fit in the gym, working hard, doing his individuals, and you know, he started slowly to just keep progressing, getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And he's a confident lad, and that helps. And it's refreshing for the group to sit in the stands with the other academy boys and sit with Darnell, Joe, Dan Chima, who have been with Efron since they're 11 in the same group. And they're sitting there and they're watching their teammate start for the first team, and they all sat there against Notts County and everyone was clapping him, and it was a great atmosphere, and the boys are actually there thinking, okay, there is actually a pathway. And we talked to them about the 23s have been in there, and Nana's been in there, and Justin's been in there, and players have been in and around, substitute appearances, and now we've got, you know, everyone started, so players can see that actually if they really work hard, then hopefully they can find themselves in the same space as Efron and in and around the team, and you know, pushing on to do well.
And someone else who's been making waves in a different way, Joe Payne's goal went absolutely crazy, went viral, I think it's fair to say. Firstly, you must be chuffed for him and the kind of reactions to that, but it's about kind of kicking on and having a real career rather than kind of YouTube moments, isn't it?
It is. It's a great moment for any young player to get that exposure for the club, for himself. He's got great technical ability. He's got a fantastic left foot. He's been working again very hard. He had quite a difficult start to his scholarship, and took him a while to really understand what it was like to be in a full-time environment. We had a few meetings last year, but then he started to really kick on, started to mature, started to really invest in his own development, involvement with Rossi. Played again with Rossi against Gillingham on Tuesday, and it was great for him to have that moment and to see the reactions from all the players when he scored, and to get that exposure is brilliant. But like you say, you're right, those moments are brilliant because they may facilitate another development or another kind of vehicle for things to happen, but that has to be the start, and it has to be a part of the journey. And what we must make sure now is that, and what he must make sure, all of us, every player involved in that game and subsequent games, is that we stay focused on the goal. And the goal is to keep developing, to become a professional footballer. And by that we don't mean to be a professional footballer by getting a first year pro. It's to be playing 20 to 50 games in the first team, to be a regular in League 2, to look to push and help the Barnet first team get into the promotion places and into League 1, and then see where their career takes them, and that's a step in the right direction.
Brilliant. Thank you, Dean.